Hello. Hello. It is Monday. The 5 o'clock show is now 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time because I'm calling these my summer hours because the sun typically shines in so bright from my windows and there's not a whole lot I can do about it. So we're just moving it up an hour and trying it out this week, and we'll figure this all out. But today I'm going to be talking about how I manifested my Mercedes convertible and the business lessons that by manifesting this car, what it has taught me about manifesting, and also regarding like how can I use that in my business. And a lot of people ask me this questions. I'm just looking down because I'm going to share this in my private group. And a lot of people like ask me questions about manifesting and about that mindset that goes with manifesting. Because, like I just consider like the two go hand in hand. They're like brother and sister, so to speak. And so I want to share that with you today. Here we are. Wow, and once again, it's a little different here in Facebook land. And it looks like if I try to share this, it wants to ask me where I want to write a post. So again, it's just an extra step that Facebook has thrown in there. No big deal, right? We're all good with this. Let me find my group. Just feels like it just gets a little tougher and tougher each week, Mr. Facebook. Okay, here we are. So I'm just gonna give everybody just like a couple of minutes just to see if they're gonna be jumping on, because this is like such a good story. I want to tell you the story about my Mercedes that I still have. So, geez, my Mercedes is actually a 99. And so that makes it, I'm not sure if that makes it technically an antique when you're 20 years old. Thank goodness. It doesn't make us Inhumans antiques when we're 20 years old. But let me just tell you the story that I had, I just figured like, hey, at some point in my life, I want to own a convertible. And it didn't need to be a Mercedes. And as a matter of fact, I kept my eyes on the Audi A4, and those were everywhere. As a matter of fact, it's kind of a car that is not just driven in the summertime here. I live in New England, southern New Hampshire, and the cars, like the A4, is like a lot of people will even drive them like out in the winter. Audi's known for, all-wheel drive. And I would literally call my sister every time I saw one. I would call her and it was code for, I'd be like, I'm having palpitations. Her response was, what color? And I would say like, oh, it's white, it's red, it's blue, it's black, etc. Well, one day her husband at the time was, or still is a mechanic. And I was driving around. My normal car was a Volkswagen Passat. Had a Volkswagen Passat. And he said to me, because Volkswagen and Audi are they're like under the same company. He's like, the Audi is very similar to your Volkswagen. He said to me, he goes, it's the same chassis. Why don't you consider a Mercedes? I mean, literally, like my eyes lit up. I held my breath because to me, like a Mercedes. So you could tell like I had hit my glass ceiling, my upper limit, and the Mercedes was above that, if you will. So A4 within like this is my okay range. Mercedes, let's think about all the things that Mercedes like stands for. Is like status and like money, I'm trying to like think of like different words that I was probably thinking of at the time. And so like, I had hit like my glass ceiling. And so it was like, okay, I would start thinking about a Mercedes. I'd kind of wrap my head around it. Now, having a convertible had been something that I'd wanted for a very long time. And as a matter of fact, for some reason, this was it. This was the year that things were going to change about this. And so I started realizing if I'm going to have a Mercedes in my life, if I'm going to have a convertible, I need to do the things that are going to draw in that convertible. Well, what would I do if I was car shopping? Well, I would probably go and test drive the car that I was thinking of purchasing. So now I went to the Mercedes dealership. This was towards the end of summer. And, like by then they have put away all of their convertibles. They've either sold them or they've taken them off the lot and they put them in storage. So I ended up driving the manager's car, which was definitely a step above, if not two steps above the car that I would have wanted anyways. It was a V8, so it was really super powerful, and it was, I can't even remember which model number it was. Not important to the story right now, because I test drove that car, and I remember looking at my hands on the steering wheel, seeing how it felt, seeing how that V8 actually worked and handled on the highway and also on the roads. And then I started talking about it. I started talking about wanting a Mercedes, but I wanted somebody's summer car. So I really just started sharing this with people that I was car shopping. This is what I was looking for. And people would say, oh, my mother, or I know somebody who's selling one, or here's where you should go and look. And started following up on, okay, like went to visit this person because they were selling one personally. Then I finally, somebody had recommended, call this consignment place. I did call the consignment place. And from there, I literally was on the phone and I had told him exactly what I wanted, which is I wanted a Mercedes convertible, a CLK 320. I didn't want black. I wanted to buy it used. I wanted to buy somebody's summer car. And the interior couldn't be black. I literally went through and described exactly what this car is going to look like. The gentleman on the other end of the phone was waiting for me to stop talking because his response was, I have a red one on the lot right now. I couldn't get there fast enough to test drive this. And so I went there, I test drove. Because I had friends that were in the car industry, they actually looked up the VIN number, not only like Carfax, but there's actually another one that a lemon, for just to check to make sure something's not a lemon. And within I would say a week and a half, that car was in my driveway. And so I ended up when I got home, having the car, I went and pulled out my journal for the beginning of that year, because always in the beginning of the year, I'm like most people, I write down what I want. I write down my goals. And in there was an entry about wanting a Mercedes convertible, somebody's summer car, buying it used, a V6, CLK 320, it's not black, etc. I literally got the exact car that I had written about in January. And it was, I think that by this time frame, it was something like October. So what I wanted to share with you is not only that fun story about manifesting, but also about the business lessons. So if you're watching the replay, if you're watching live right now, have you ever manifested something that you're just comes to mind right now? You're just like, oh yeah, I've got some clients who are extremely powerful at manifesting things, whether it's clients, whether it's dates, apartments, homes, you name it. I've got several clients that every time I'm just like, of course you manifested that. You always manifest stuff. So one of the things that I wanted to share with you is like, so how does this apply to business? Well, one, I made a decision. I made a decision about what I wanted. It's almost like drawing a line in the sand, staking your claim. Here's what I want. Here's what I want for my business. Maybe that's I want a full roster of clients. Maybe I'm going to start doing Facebook Lives. Maybe I'm going to start I want to do a group program. I want a membership site. You are just claiming, you're making that decision about what you want. When you make that decision about what you want, it's like you're getting off the fence. Instead of being on the fence about, am I going to go this way? Am I going to go that way? You are making a decision about which side of the yard you're going to be in. You're getting off the fence. You're making a decision, a very clear, concise decision about what you want. Not only does that, like what it does, I was going to say like it tells the universe exactly what you want. But if you're not very woo, I mean, in your head, like from the neck up is something that I constantly am talking about. From the neck up, it's like I acted in a different way. When you make, that's the big thing about making decisions and about mindset, is that you've made a decision and then you seem to act in accordance with that decision. I had decided that I wanted a Mercedes convertible. Well, what do you do when you decide that you want to buy a car? You test drive them. So of course I wasn't going to buy this $150,000 car that the manager had, the V8 that I was talking about. Even when I got in it, I knew that like this is way too much car than one that I wanted to spend, but it was way too much car like to handle. Also, I just kind of like predicted that I might get in a little bit of trouble with having a V8. I knew that, but I wanted to drive in a Mercedes with the top down, because that's what I would do if I was test driving. I couldn't find any CLKs at the time. So you make a decision. You start to act in accordance with that decision. It's almost like being in integrity with yourself and that decision, like going hand in hand. And then I was like constantly reminded, because remember, I would constantly see the Audi A4s on the road. And even though I had transferred over because of the nudging from my brother-in-law, that now it was a Mercedes, but still, like I'm on the lookout. Remember that reticular activating system that is constantly deciphering information and filtering information to get you to your goal. Well, if I saw an A4 or I saw a Mercedes, it was just reinforcing what I wanted. Let's say you want a full roster of clients. Maybe what you need to do is like, just like, okay, I'm going to need to put some content out there. How do I want to put content out there? Maybe it's a Facebook Live. Maybe you want to start your own podcast. Maybe it's really good just giving value and building relationships in Facebook groups. If you've decided, here's what I want, then like what are the steps that are going to get you there? Because nobody wakes up. I'm sorry, like here's the tough news. Nobody says, I want a full roster of clients, and they wake up the next morning and they have a full roster of clients. It just doesn't happen that way. And quite personally, I think, thank goodness. Okay. So then I acted as if I was car shopping. I was like, what if like I was going to get this car? You start to act as if, hence the test driving the car, talking about it with people and just being comfortable about trying and getting information from people about, hey, have you tried, I know such and such who's selling their car, or this consignment store, like, which is where I ended up, but acting as if that's what you already have. The beauty of doing that is that you keep, even like a lot of people say to me, but the truth is like, I don't have a full roster of clients. But act as if you do have a full roster of clients. How would you show up while you're engaging in Facebook? How would you show up on a sales call? I'm going to venture a guess to say way more confidence. A whole lot of confidence, just like, like fill up your cup with confidence. And that's just going to show through not only in the content that you're putting out there, not only in the Facebook Lives that you're showing up for. I mean, I always tell people, like, when you do a Facebook Live, You're doing it for the replay. When you're putting social media content out there, you don't know who it's going to resonate with, but you're acting as if like the whole world is actually going to be seeing it. Act as if the whole world is watching you and wants to work with you. Again, it gives you so much confidence. And I want you to detach. The other part is like you detach from the outcome. So the person who said like my mom is selling her Mercedes convertible, I didn't show up at this woman's house being like, this has to be the car. It was just like, I was just like, hey, like, I know what I want. I know what I'm looking for. If it's not the right car, it's not the right car. Like I'm eventually going to have this car. And quite honestly, like my brother-in-law, like he looked it over and he was just like, typically this, and this is going to be wrong in this car. I can't remember like how old her car was, but he just advised me not to get it. And it was like, no big deal. My car is out there. And the same thing, just detach from the outcome. You do a Facebook Live. And I hear all the time, but what if nobody watches? Again, so what? So what if nobody watches? You're doing it for the replay. What if nobody listens to my podcast? Trust me, when you've got like 30, 40, 50 of them after like doing them once a week for a year, you've got a beautiful library that gives you accountability, that gives you credibility. The accountability is doing it every week. The credibility is like, wow, this person has been doing Facebook Lives for like a year. They've been doing podcasting. They've been like out there engaging in Facebook groups. I constantly see their name. Trust me, you'll get noticed. So detach from the income, I'm getting very tongue-tied right now. Detach from the outcome and how it gets done. Just know that, hey, this is what I want. I've made the line in the sand and I'm acting in accordance with that. So how has this helped me in my business? I make decisions. I make decisions about what I want for my business. And I trust myself that I'm going to make the right decision. That way, when I make the right decision and I start acting in accordance with that decision, of course, like my business is moving forward. Of course, I'm signing on new clients. Let me just say hello to Sarah here. She's coming into us from the UK. She goes, I went back and looked at the 31 Facebook Lives that she did in May because May was National Mental Health Month. Everyone had at least 35 views and a lot over 100 views. That's a beautiful example. Thank you so much, Sarah, for sharing that because it just goes to show that you're doing it for the replay. So let's just say, same thing like with the podcast. Let's just say like a year from now, somebody runs into and it's like, who is this Sarah Ross girl? Who is this Laurie-Ann? And they go and they say like, oh my God, she's got this huge library of Facebook Lives and they can just go and binge watch them. Yeah. And they could just learn so much from you. And there's that know, like, and trust. And then don't be surprised if they you make an offer like, hey, sign up for this particular opt-in, book a call with me. Don't be surprised because a lot of our marketing tactics actually take about 90 days to actually see the results. So think about it in terms of like when you go to the gym. You go to the gym the first day. You work out on the treadmill, you work out on the Stairmaster, maybe you do a spin class, you walk out. Pretty sure you're not going to see a difference yet. As a matter of fact, you might, if you haven't been working out in years, you might not even make it, through the spin class, or whatever class, or even be able to be on the treadmill for 30 minutes, or run a mile. It takes time to build up to that. Same thing with our business. You can't just put one post out there. You've heard me say over and over again about consistency is key. And if you want to hear more about that, go watch the marketing mistakes. I think it was marketing mistake number 1 was all about consistency. And Sarah says, think the most people I had on a live was about 4. Fantastic. 4 is great. I never worry about how many people are showing up for my live. As a matter of fact, didn't even expect a lot of people on this live because I've changed the time. I've taught my audience 5 o'clock on Mondays is when I do my lives. And I know people who actually cover up. They don't even want to know how many people are on the live. They don't want to know if it's 0. They don't even want to know if it's 20 people that are on the live. I love interacting with people, but no big deal because if they write a comment, I always come back, So taking this information, making the decision, acting in accordance, acting as if, being detached from the how. Again, let's go back to building a business. I want to sign on 3 new clients this month. Do you have to know exactly who those clients are going to be? No, just put the information out there. Share your information. Let people know that they can hire you. Let people know that they can get on a call with you. The right people are going to see your information. The right people are going to get on that call. Be confident and just act as if, of course, 3 people are going to sign up with me. Of course I was going to find the car. Did I have any idea that it was going to happen that fast? No. Was I open to it? Of course I was. Did I negotiate with them, with the people that own the car? Of course I did. And it was a fabulous experience. I still have the car. It's so damn good to me. So what did I say? The car is, now that the 2021s are coming out. So the car is 22 years old now. And when I say it's so good to me. I think it's got 95,000 miles on it. So I probably, it's like what, barely 5 miles, 55,000 miles a year. It's been a wonderful, wonderful car for me. So let me know if you have any questions, whether you're watching the replay, whether you're watching right now live with me. If you have any questions about, manifesting and the mindset around making a decision and how that impacts your business. Because here's what I'd love to challenge you to do. And that would be to make a decision this week about your business. Whether that's, I want to sign on a new client. I want to find a place to speak virtually. I want to start podcasting. I want to, whatever that is, what's the next big step that you want to refocus on in your business? Make that decision and then decide, if I already had this was already a reality in my business right here, right now, how would I be acting? What are the things that I would be doing? You want a 6-figure business? Start thinking like a 6-figure business. Remember, I'm big on we got to take care of from the neck up so that the neck down acts in accordance. So it's all about even though our heads are on top of our bodies, it's really the foundation to everything. You've heard me say before, mindset is everything. And mindset really is everything. It is the foundation. You've probably heard me talk about my push-up exercise. Go and do the push-up exercise, or find the video where I talk about the push-up exercise. Do the push-up exercise and you will see evidence of how the difference between having a positive mindset and having a negative mindset, and how hard it is to do those darn push-ups when you have that negative mindset. So make sure you have the positive. So make a decision, start acting in accordance with that decision, act as if, become detached from the how, and watch it become a reality. Watch this become your reality. So trying to figure out if I have any other notes that I had hanging around here that I wanted to make sure that I shared with you. Got some new stuff coming up. You are going to start seeing and hearing a podcast from me. That is one of my, that's one of the big news that I have for you. I'll have more details for you as the month of July rolls around, because it's probably going to be towards the middle of summer, which to me is kind of like the end of July timeframe. But if you're having trouble with your business, I want to share with you that each month, and we are coming to the beginning of July, each month I open up a 90-minute intensive. It can either be it's a sales or a mindset intensive where you and I spend 90 minutes together and we can get over the hump of whatever is blocking you, whether that's in your sales, whether that's in your mindset, whether that's a combination of both. Because you know me, I'm a big fan of make sure you connect the result to, like you draw a line to what people want. You draw a line to the result that they want from where they are right now to where they want to be. So I have 2 that are opening up for July, these intensives, 90 minutes. You get me 90 minutes. We record the session so that you can listen to it again later. You can have a follow-up with me, follow-up email for about 1 week after the session. But I will put down here the information so that what you do is all you do is just jump on a call and answer the questions, book a call, and I will see if you are a good fit for this particular 90-minute session. Because not everybody is a good fit for this, and I want to make sure it's the right decision for you. Here, we'll just add that right up there. chatwithla.com. So if you guys don't have any questions, I'm going to sign off. This has been great. I just want to share with you my story about my Mercedes, that I still have it. Still in love with it. It's just been so good to me. And you guys all have a great week, and I will see you next week. Be on the lookout for the time, just in case the time changes. Have a great week.